Good morning, noon, and night, Possums. We are Offensive Points. And as always, I'm rolling with Josh and Billy. We are going to dive into the NFC East today and kind of give you guys an idea of what's going on there for your upcoming fantasy drafts. Training camp's a month away. We are in the thick of it, boys. And it's a slow news cycle, but it's going to ramp up here before you even know it. So do your research, be ahead of your league. Josh, Billy, what is up?
I hate to ramble right into a story that is not fantasy football related, but I do it pretty much every week anyway. So at this point, you should get used to it. So I got an email from this guy today, and you know how most people have, best regards, sincerely as their email signature. Well, this man has fairways and greens, and that is our own OP Joe, who has the nicest, coolest email signature I've ever seen. And I just love a nice fairways and greens.
Yeah.
And that's the sign off. Joe Wiggins.
That's how you live your life, man. Fairways and greens.
We did not hit a lot of fairways or greens yesterday, but we tried our best.
No, we did not. It's also 150 degrees outside. So anyone else who is under the heat dome, I'm suffering with you here.
Like half of the world right now. America, which is the world. Being completely honest. Except for our guys over in Australia.
America is what it will be called soon.
You think Rhino Venny's still alive out there? Probably can't keep up with all of our.
I haven't heard from him in a while. Yeah, all of our moves. We moved three different places. Well, speaking of on fire, the Thunder won the championship, baby. Finally, I can root. I can say I root for a champion. I have been waiting I wouldn't say my entire life. I was 7 when OU won their when they won their last championship. But this was the first one of my adult lifetime. So that was pretty awesome. I haven't gotten to celebrate one of those. And it felt great. Felt like I hoped it would. So
awesome. Should we talk about the elephant in the room here and how they just the people on the internet have been saying, a lot of people have been saying they only won because 7 star players got injured on their way to the route. And
my argument would be it happens all the time. That happens literally every season. People get hurt. Halliburton knew the risks of playing in the game. He played in the game. The risk happened.
Well, I don't have the list in front of me. I don't have the list in front of me.
I'm sorry that the Thunder have a better strength and conditioning program than all the other teams. What do you want me to do? I can't do anything about that. They're more fit than all these other players that are getting injured. I don't know what to do about that.
We need to get Dr. Tom on here for this. I need to.
Jets got noodle arms, man. They definitely don't spend any time in the gym.
We literally have one of those inflatable guys that's outside of a car wash. We have one of those playing on our team, and he even stayed healthy through the whole playoff. So
he just looks so out of place. What's his name?
He does. Chet.
And his name's Chet. Even better.
Yeah, we have a noodle armed guy out there. It looks like
just
a baby giraffe running for the first time.
Some people are saying.
I know, and I don't even care. I've heard so many people and have gone back and forth with so many people. They're saying this was not a championship, and all I can do is point to the ring finger, baby, because that championship's in OKC now. Don't really care about your problems.
It is still a dub. It is at the end of the day. But I just want to say,
big dub.
A couple people went down. A lot of people went down. A lot of people.
Plus, we had the number 1 team. We had the MVP of the entire league, and we had the Finals MVP
of the entire league,
and the scoring champion of the entire league, all on the same team. So I don't know. If it was Michael Jordan doing that, people would be like, "Oh, that wasn't a Mickey Mouse ring." But Shea doing it, it's whatever.
That's where I feel your pain because I have yet to cheer for a champion in a long time. I said yet. The Bulls in the early 90s, before I could even really remember them, kind of screwed me up.
We all knew Michael Jordan was great, but we didn't know how great at being born in 90 and 91. It was happening while we were infants. Just
we're like, wow, that guy's in Space Jam.
Dude, for real. I mean, that was probably our first exposure to Michael Jordan.
Yeah, can you take a minute and just reflect on Lola for a second? Just a moment of silence.
I'm not going to, but you can. Anyway, speaking of
I'm there
champions,
with
I know
you,
you
Joe.
have more. I know you have more news stories, but we are talking
I do.
about the NFC East today at some point before we get through the Lola Bunnies and Oklahoma Thunders. It's fine, But yeah, so we will be talking about some other champions later. It'll be a great time.
Yeah, NFC East is today. However, we have a couple of news stories I wanted to get through first. It is complete and utter camp news, boys. So, I'm not trying to say this is serious stuff, but it is stuff that I think we should be mentioned. So, the first thing was yesterday on the Pat McAfee show, Aaron Rodgers said this is the last dance for Aaron Rodgers with the Steelers. Does this actually make, for me, I don't know, I'll see how you all feel. Does this actually make you feel a little bit better for him, knowing that this is literally it? So he's definitely going to put his heart and soul into this one last season.
Oh, you mean better about his performance?
Yeah.
No, not at all. I feel like he's going to be exactly. I mean, his performance wasn't bad by any means. He's just a 40-year-old man playing football. I mean, he's one of the better 40-year-old men to play football, so that's a good thing. But no, I mean, it's definitely a nostalgia thing, just because we're past the Eli Manning, Matt Ryan, Phillip Rivers, Peyton, Brady's, all those greats, Breeze that we grew up watching. So it's definitely a nostalgia thing. I feel like Stafford's still a couple of years removed from all them. So he's the next eldest at this point. It's just kind of wild to see. And I mean, I did look after I saw that announcement. I was like, well, why are you even playing this year? Then you're starting over in a new team. And I did look, and he has a chance to break a few records. I think he can end up being 5th all-time passing. And I think he's currently 7th or something like that. I think he only needs 2,000 yards to get that. And then if he gets 12 touchdowns or 20 touchdowns, I think he could be 5th overall and passing touchdowns. So there is something to play for here. And I'm sure he's just, I mean, I'm most excited about the fact that we are done with the Aaron Rodgers offseason news cycle, because he tried to do it this year. And I feel like people really didn't bite on it, but everything was so slow. So we still kept getting is Rodgers coming to the Steelers? I feel like had the Steelers drafted a quarterback or gotten any quarterback that could have been viable to start, we wouldn't have heard as much about Rodgers, because everyone's just tired of the news cycle offseason. But yeah, a little bit of a nostalgia factor here.
Yeah, I feel better about his performance. I agree with Josh, but I mean, really, it's just the fantasy implications, right? We can draft DK Metcalf now. We can draft Pat Freiermuth. So that's good. Those are good things.
Roman Wilson's going to be interesting too.
I just feel like since we know he's going to be putting the rest of his juice out into the season, I do feel could be a little bit of a boost to all the guys around him. Yeah. I'm not going to say they're going to make a Super Bowl run. I think that's a little insane, but I definitely think, I don't know, it's going to be interesting. Very interesting team. Can't wait till we get to the AFC. There's some weird, wacky shit going on over there in that conference. All right, next one is ESPN Fantasy officially said today that they are going to count Travis Hunter's defensive touchdowns, no other IDP scoring, but just the defensive touchdowns as a part of his game. How many points is that realistically going to be? I mean, what are we I know that I feel good about
12.
the announcement for IDP, but is that even going to matter at all?
No, not really. It's a drop. It's going to be he had 100 yards receiving and he caught a touchdown and then he got a defensive pick 6, and it'll be really fun. And it'll be it's just he caught 2 touchdowns at that point. I mean, what? How many pick 6s can he really get? I mean, we got to go back to the Trayvon Diggs 6 pick 6s. I think. Yeah. That's the most in recent history, at least. And it's okay, so that's 6 touchdowns at the end of the day. And that's best case scenario. So it's really just giving him an extra touchdown. It kind of sucks that you're not getting, this is such a good chance to morph into an IDP. Hey, tackles do matter. Pass defended do matter. Fumbles and interceptions matter.
To cut you off, Josh, I think that's what it was. They were announcing to the IDP guys that he is going to be a 2-way player, and they couldn't just say, hey, IDP players, because everyone would ignore it. So they were oh, by the way, your offensive guys will get defensive points too. And then that's how it went.
But does that count for other people too? What if hypothetically you had a kick returner type, Devin Hester type player who played, I mean, he kind of played both sides. I know he originally was a corner and kind of converted to wide receiver, but does that work? What about punt returns and kick returns? I feel like some leagues don't have those.
It would help. I think it would count for anyone. It's just a matter of who else would that actually affect other than the one person. I just feel like this was such an easy bridge into potentially soft launching IDP into mainstream leagues. And we are just totally dropping the ball here. I know that they don't care about IDP, but just, man, this is such an easy way into the game. There's a player that's playing on both sides of the ball, and like it would be so much fun if you could root for Travis Hunter and get points for his tackles and interceptions and stuff too. And this was such a way but no, we're just going to waste this opportunity. All right, fun.
For his maybe one touchdown a year.
Exactly, the one pick where it's like, dude, I started him. He got the pick 6. And
they could have done like an interception as well counts, like it's like that's a couple points.
Anything.
Just start being like, well, maybe that would be fun to pick defensive players and play them. I know we're huge components of it. We'd love to see it.
Yeah.
No, it's ridiculous. If they just got rid of team defenses and made people do it, that would be obviously the main thing here. All right, the last story, it's kind of like, I don't know, a taboo topic, I guess, not really a real one, but I do think it means something. So George Pickens had a youth football camp scheduled to go on this week, and he just no-showed the whole event. Like Pat Freiermuth and a couple other Steelers players are going to take his spot, but it's literally the George Pickens youth football camp in Pittsburgh. He had said he was going to be there, and since he got traded to the Cowboys, he's just bailing and not doing the whole thing. So is that weird to you guys? Is that like maybe we should think a little bit more of this, or is
it's par for the course? It's par for the course. It's what you would expect George Pickens to do. Now, is it the right decision? No. Is it shitty? Yes. But I don't know. He's on the Cowboys now. That's how he sees it.
Yeah, I feel like the worst part of it is like the kids who are excited to go to a pro football youth camp, and like, who knows if these people have the chances or the means to even get there. Like someone's dad might have that could have been their Christmas gift to them, and like people scrounging for money to be able to do this and then not have the man show up. Like I'm sure people are freaking livid right now, and I would be too. I mean, honestly, that's just disrespectful to all the people who are involved, the people who are putting because Pickens didn't do a damn thing for this camp. He didn't plan it. Yeah, it's just attached to his name. There's a planner out there that did all the work and got everything ordered and got all the things together, and that person's now sitting there like, what do I do?
I mean, shout out to Pat for stepping in and being there a part of it, but it's just like you wanted to go for George Pickens. It's like Pat Freiermuth, it's not exactly who you wanted to see, but it is nice that somebody's stepping in and going to help out. I heard a couple players, I don't know who they are going to be there too. So I don't know. Hopefully that is. But that, I don't know, it just rubbed me the wrong way reading that. I don't know. I know that it's not going to affect his performance on the field or anything, but it's just like at the end of the day, you kind of hope these people are decent people. And hearing stuff like that makes me think, no, they are not decent people at the end of the day. So that kind of sucks. Do you all have any news stories that you heard or anything?
I have one thing. You have 3 jerseys up on your wall and a 4th one that's peeking through, and you usually do like the NFC. This is the NFC East, so I see some NFC.
I don't have an Eagles jersey.
You don't own an Eagles jersey.
I don't. That's the rough part of this.
With your curseness, I'm kind of happy about it, but I see the 2nd Cowboys jersey, and that's just disappointing to me.
Yeah, I have DeMarco Murray, I have Zeke Elliott, Odell Beckham, and McLaurin.
Do you have a CD jersey?
I have a Sooners CD jersey.
Yeah, I mean that tracks.
I guess I could have put that up, but no.
It would have been better. 2 Cowboys jerseys just.
I don't know why I don't have any Eagles jerseys. It's kind of weird. You'd think I would have a Hurts jersey by now, but I feel like it's best I just stay away from it.
Yeah, stay away at this point. I just assumed you did.
I don't. I have plenty of Eagles merch, but I don't have any jerseys. I have a DeMarco Murray jersey.
You could have put the Jalen Hurts is good shirt up there and just had it like
that is true. I would have worn it today.
Thanks for buying all those for us, by the way. You were absolutely
Thunder
right.
Championship. Hey, I felt like that was a good omen. I loved the idea for the shirt of like it's not Jalen Hurts is amazing. It's not Jalen Hurts is generational. It's just Jalen Hurts is good.
And
it's like, all right, simple message.
It's a point that needs to be made. Because people still aren't
really
in it.
People still don't even believe that he's good. That's the funny.
No, I saw a thing for top 10 offenses, and the Eagles weren't in the top 10 offenses. Bucks weren't either, by the way, which I was just like, what the fuck are we doing? But like, whatever. Like,
yeah, Arizona was. The Cardinals were. Yeah, I saw it. I laughed when those things happen.
What are we doing here? But
we'll get there. We'll get there.
We will. All right, on to the NFC East. Weird division, a little bit. Weird division. The worst team in this division is the Giants going into the season. So without further ado, I'll get right into it. All right. The Giants have 3 quarterbacks. Which one is going to be the main one to focus on this fantasy season? I'm going to tell you that probably staying away from all three is the smartest decision because you don't know exactly what's going to go on here. Russell Wilson is currently QB 30, 229 overall, so basically free and not draftable. Jameis Winston is right behind him at QB 39, 374 overall. I personally would love to see Jameis go in over Russell Wilson because that's a lot more fun. But lo and behold, we don't have that quite yet. And then Jackson Dart, a lot of people are saying that he's going to be starting by the end of the season, and I don't want that to happen, but he was taken in the first round. So would it be shocking if if they're losing games and he's got to throw his project out there to just show ownership, like here's what we're doing and what we're planning to do? Maybe we get to that point. So I honestly would stay away from all of these quarterbacks. If you do need to grab one, maybe grab Jameis, honestly, as like your backup person if you're a 3 QB psycho. That would be the only recommendation for the quarterbacks, but otherwise stay away. Tight end wise, Theo Johnson is going as tight end 36, 290 overall. Again, basically free. Feel like that's a little bit of a undersell there, but I guess with the way that the quarterbacks are being ranked and valued here, you kind of can't put too much stock into a tight end because you don't know how between the three quarterbacks he's going to be used. If you knew it was going to be Jackson Dart, you'd probably be a little bit higher on him. Jameis Winston, you might be a little higher on him, but with Russell, you'd probably be a little lower on him. So I guess that's kind of why he's ranked that way, but maybe a guy to put on your watch list. Let's get into the meat and the potatoes here. So Malik Neighbors, currently he is wide receiver 5, going 7th overall. Love that value. His projections are a billion gajillion targets. I think I read that number right. And that would be just perfect for him. And it's a kind of wide receiver that at number 7 overall, that is exactly when you're in that like dead zone. I get not really dead zone, but like between the top guys and the end of the first round guys, like number 7, Malik Neighbors is a guy that I would love to grab there because you know the amount of targets he's about to get is going to be super high. Wan'Dale Robinson is going 63 wide receiver, 159 overall, about 16th round. Feels about right. I do think it's kind of a little bit quarterback dependent because I do think, Malik Neighbors is getting 20 targets a game. Wan'Dale would be happy to get like 8, 9 targets a game, but that's not bad, especially for the position he plays. I think you can still get some great value. Definitely got some great value last season. And then Darius Slayton, who just signed back to the team this offseason, wide receiver 82, 16 overall. I do think he's a decent flyer. I know he's a bit of a touchdown-dependent guy, but I think he's getting a little undervalued. But that's kind of the story of this Giants team is because I think with the quarterbacks and not knowing how the quarterbacks are going to shake out, you kind of can't tell what to do with the players on the team. And I can tell that the rankers are kind of baking that into the rankings here because – if you knew it was going to be Jameis Winston, I think Malik Neighbors would get bumped up for sure. I think Darius Slayton would get bumped up for sure. And I think Wan'Dale wouldn't – he's probably about where he would be, but like he would get bumped up a little bit because you know that the passing would be high. So I don't know. I don't know what to do there. Jalen Hyatt's another guy I would at least keep on the watch list, but not somebody I would take right now. Running back wise, we got Tyrone Tracy's RB 33 going 98 overall, and then Scadaboo is RB 41, 126 overall. I think both of these are a little light because by the thinking of that, if they're not going to, pass to Malik Neighbors, the other option would be running or throwing the ball to a running back, and so I think both of those guys are a little bit lower than they should be. Tyrone Tracy, probably a little bit higher. I would say like 7th, 8th round, even with these currently going in the 9th round. And then Scadaboo going in the 12th. I feel like you could get him in the 10th, 11th, and you'd feel a little bit better. So just slight bumps for both of those guys, but I think they're both going to be usable. And then Singletary's going off the board right now, but I think he might have a thing. But I think if you draft Scadaboo, you're planning to pair him and Tyrone Tracy because I think they can both be relevant. And I think you're going to get good values if they're going to go at 98 and 126, or I think you definitely would take them at both of those spots. Quickly, I'll go over the defense. Brian Burns' DL set was defensive line 7 last season, according to Sleeper. That was with Thibodeau being hurt. They brought in Abdul Carter. Where I'm going to bring you guys in is with this 3-man rotation that they're building there. Do you feel as good about Brian Burns, or is this more of like Thibodeau Carter? Are they going to do all 3? What do you guys think they're going to do? Because I feel like a 3-man rotation is a little crazier than maybe just a 2-man rotation.
Yeah, it's going to be super interesting, honestly. I'm curious to see how it shakes out. I mean, I'm not avoiding drafting these players. Like Abdul Carter will be super fun to watch, and hopefully that hurts his draft stock and doesn't go where he should be going. Just if he was drafted on any team that didn't have two elite edge rushers. I think Thibodeau takes the back seat, though, right? Like, I mean, Brian Burns is getting paid a fuck ton of money, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And he's clearly done it and proved himself. Abdul Carter obviously still need to prove himself at the pro level, but clearly was the best prospect in the draft. So it's tough for me to say that it's not going to be them two first and Thibodeau as the change of pace. Maybe they'll probably be doing packages with all three of them in different variations.
I just feel like they got to trade Thibodeau if that's the answer, because he was the fifth overall pick in the draft.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, which I was going to get to shortly. But yeah, I mean, just since we're here, let's go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off. I kind of hate what they did in the draft. It didn't really make a whole lot of sense. You didn't make your offense any better. You didn't go out and get a quarterback right off the top. Like, sure, you got Jackson Dart, and hopefully that's the quarterback for the future. But is he? He's sitting behind Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. I mean, you're giving Russ the crack because everyone seems to still think he has something in the tank, even though we've seen the last 3 years of football. I just can't think that he could be. I'd love to see Jameis start with this offense. I'm worried about everyone. I'm worried about the Tyrone Scatabo split. I think Tyrone Tracy could have done this job on his own. I mean, he proved it last year. Scatabo obviously doesn't really have the pass catching prowess, and Tyrone Tracy's kind of untapped in the passing market. But at the end of the day, I'm even worried about Neighbors. Like, I understand you guys are like, oh, he'll get enough targets or whatever. Not if they're that bad. You know what I mean? Like, if Jameis comes in, sure, not worried at all. Like, it'll be terrible targets probably, but it'll be enough to cover the bases. Russ didn't do great with Pickens last year. And so I'm not stoked about that. I mean, sure,
Neighbors is better than Pickens.
I understand that,
right,
but
just for the record,
he's still got to throw the ball to it. And they did nothing in the receiver room. Like, you changed nothing. So it's going to be easy. Everyone knows who Neighbors is. We got a year of tape on him. Everyone's watching it. They're going to double team him. He's going to get shadowed. And I think that there's going to be some easy picks from Russ to whatever team they're playing that are going to Neighbors. I'm worried. The first round pick for Neighbors worries me because of the quarterback, not because of him as a player.
That's crazy. But to answer your question, Billy, Brian Burns is not going to leave the field. And I think starting the season off, it's going to be a combination of Thibodeau and Carter. And so I would be comfortable drafting Brian Burns. Thibodeau, I agree with Josh, is probably going to end up taking a backseat later on in the season, but he could provide some value early on in the season. They also, I mean, Robertson, Harris, and Nunez Roches, they're not world beaters, and you could see all three of them out there at the same time. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't mix a lot of that in as well.
Yeah, I do think that a lot of their players kind of underperformed a little bit last year on defense. McFadden was kind of the only one that was at least a little bit fantasy relevant, but it was more like a flex IDP guy rather than
Okie dokie was starter. Good when he was healthy.
Yeah, well, that was kind of the issue. It was the health issue health part being the issue there.
No, this defense is great, and that's super cool. But like, can their offense game manage at that point?
Yeah. See, I don't know. I do think this team's going to be a little bit better. The quarterback problem is what I don't know how they're going to work it out.
How's it going to be better though? Their offensive line's exactly the same, which was okay. To say
Russell is better than Daniel Jones. I mean,
is he though at this point? Like, honestly,
100%.
Have you watched the last 3 years of football with Russell Wilson?
I have, and I at least liked him a little bit better than I liked Daniel Jones.
I mean, there's going to be a QB switch in the middle of the year, so I think they'll be better off. But
that's the other thing. The QB switch is another thing that I'm like, why would you bring in Jameis if you also were going to draft a guy in the first round, like trade up to get him in the first round? It doesn't make any sense because it would make you think, because at this point, Daboll's coaching for his job. Like, I think we can all three agree there.
How is he still there?
If this team's shitty again this year, like, I don't know what they do, but if he goes to Jameis and they lose, why would ownership keep him? If they go to Jackson Dart and they lose, he probably still gets fired. And then the next coach that comes in, next offensive coordinator comes in, is just going to be there with Jackson Dart and have to make that work. Who the hell would want that job? You don't even know if you like him. Like, he wasn't like a surefire guy. Like, he's a project a little bit. And I guess that's Daboll kind of like trying to make it to where he can't get fired because he's the one attached to him. But like, That's not how the world works. Like, he's gonna get fired, and the next guy's gonna be stuck with Jackson Dart.
Is
I
Joe
actually have-
Shen the GM of
Joe
the
Schoen, yeah.
Giants? Joe Shen.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean,
so.
literally, it's those two grasping at straws for their job. I think Jackson Dart offers you a ton of upside, and I do think I'm in a couple 2 QB leagues. I've gotten Jackson Dart late enough that I feel comfortable with him being my backup quarterback in 2 quarterback leagues, because I do feel like this defense is going to keep this team competitive, and I just think you're going to see Russ and Jameis fall short, probably the first 8 weeks, and then they're going to make the switch to Dart, try to save their jobs. And
I think by the time they switch to Dart, it's too late for your fantasy. Like I think it's like week 12 or something when the season's lost, and just to see.
by the time bye weeks kick in and injuries pile up, I don't
possible.
hate getting Jackson Dart.
No, I don't either. I actually have a lot of love for him. I think he has a chance, and hopefully Russ and Jameis will, actually do the veteran thing and give him a little coaching on the sidelines, and hopefully he'll be involved and not like he seems the type of guy who would. But I liked him at Ole Miss. He was a good quarterback.
Here's a fun fact: who was the 11th in targets in the NFL last year?
Was it Blake Neighbors?
No.
Was it Wandale?
Wandale fucking Robinson with 140 targets. That's insane. And if he's going to get more quality targets, like Billy, I agree with you. I think Russ is going to be able to run this show a little bit better. Then Wandale could be a steal where he's going right now if he's going to get that sort of volume. He just seems like a Russ guy. Of course, so does Slayton. So I
feel like Wandale is going to be one of those guys who bounces on and off waivers all year, like in fantasy. Someone's going to pick him up week 1, week 2. Either have a slow start or whatever, and then drop him, and then someone's going to pick him up, or he's going to have a big week. He's going to be at some point or another, he'll be the big free agent acquisition, and then maybe he'll have a couple bad weeks, and maybe it happens again. He had a pretty solid fantasy season last year for the second wide receiver on the Giants.
If I draft him, I'm holding him. I'm just saying it now.
I'm gonna hold for 3 weeks, and then
he's a guy I want on my team, because the thing is, it's like a lottery ticket that like could hit at different points. Like, even though you don't get it on the first draw, might be on the third or fourth one, and so you just got to hold it, and might clog the bench, but it also might bang. I don't know.
If he's your wide receiver 5 and he's going to get 8 receptions for 50 yards, I'd say, hey, I'll take a 13-point guy on my flex every day for my 5th wide receiver. So.
All right, I know you touched on it earlier, but can we just briefly touch on Jalen Hyatt and does this guy have anything? I mean, he's played 2 full seasons at this point.
He's yoked now.
He is yoked.
Is there some chance that this actually works out for him? I mean, this is the 3rd year now. There's a lot of competition for him. I mean, in one way or another.
I would say with Russ, no. With Jameis, yes, and with Dart, maybe.
Okay. I'm just curious. I mean, obviously not draft relevant, but still conversation to keep an eye on, especially in Dynasty. Maybe pop him in a trade.
No, this is definitely going to be a weird team to watch, and I think it's going to be a week to week one where our fantasy outlook for the team is going to vary week to week based on what their decision making is at the quarterback position, and you can see it in the rankings. And I actually think it's kind of helpful because a lot of these guys are getting shot down the board because they just assume that it's going to be a hot mess, but actually might be able to dig out some gold from here because you might be able to hit something that would not have been there normally. So
yeah, I like your point of grab those running backs late too, because you never know. Lottery tickets, man.
Yeah, well, I think they're going to be there. Even if it's Russ the entire season, I think both of those guys are going to outperform 98 and 126.
Oh, yeah. They're cheap
on their
right
own.
now.
Yeah, no, it's kind of crazy. Okay, the over/under for the Giants is 5.5.
Should be easy, but probably won't.
That's a lot.
And I think they have the most difficult schedule in NFL.
They really have a tough schedule. So they start off with the Commanders, the Cowboys, the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Saints, the Eagles, the Broncos, the Eagles, the 49ers, the Bears, the Packers, the Lions, the Patriots, the Commanders, the Vikings, the Raiders, and the Cowboys.
Not a way in hell. I heard 3 wins in there.
I heard 4, but as I was counting. But
I mean, Saints, 49ers.
Saints.
I'm
assuming there's 2 division wins. Don't know who they're going to be.
The Eagles,
might be
probably.
It could be. There'll be 2 wacky division games, and then the Saints and a weird one against the Packers or something. But I don't know. I don't know how they get to 5.5. I wanted to go confidently over here, but I don't know.
I know. I saw that the other day. They have the toughest because the NFC East got one of the tougher division draws and who they're playing against. So tough for the Giants.
I don't know. I'm going over. I think they get to 6 wins. 6-12. I could see that. I think it's going to
be a bad year, but we'll see.
6-12 is not a great year. What?
No.
You're going under?
Under, yes.
You got a little delay there. Anyway, who's up next, Bill?
That would be Joe with Cowboys.
Ooh, Cowboys.
I still have a delay.
No, I think you're good now. I don't know. I can't tell.
I'll go into it then. All right, the Dallas Cowboys. So Brian Schottenheimer comes over to take over this team. He was promoted from offensive coordinator. He was with Pete Carroll in Seattle. He's going to run the football a lot and rely on the RPO a lot. He does not really have that good of a record of running successful offenses. So that's a little worrisome. The offensive line last year really struggled to protect pass and run. They went out and got Tyler Booker. They get Tyler Guyton healthy, but Zach Martin retiring is really going to hurt this team. They got to keep Dak healthy, which last year Dak had a hamstring avulsion, like ripped off of the bone, which is not good. So they're saying he's going to be healthy for camp. The thing with Dak is he finishes as a top 10 guy when he plays a full season or every other season. And if you go back and look at his game logs, it's literally every other season. So this theoretically should be a hit season. He is going at quarterback 12 and 94 overall. He's one of the better values that I like at quarterback. So if you want to wait on quarterback, you got Caleb and you got Dak. I think those are two great guys to kind of target in your drafts. And then the addition of George Pickens is going to help Dak a lot. I think it's actually going to help CD a lot after it goes. I think really what the addition of Pickens does is, Tolbert got 79 targets last year. That's not going to happen. And Brandon Cooks with his 54 targets, no longer here. So there's 133 targets to go around. Tolbert's still going to get some of those. But I don't think George Pickens is going to kill CD's value. CD's going at wide receiver 3. I wouldn't fault you if you took him right behind Chase at wide receiver 2. He's fully healthy. He had a shoulder issue last year. He's got Dak healthy, and Pickens should draw some targets away from him. So I think it's a monster season for CD, even if his targets come down a little bit, which I don't really think they will. And then Pickens, I'm sorry, he's not going to be a 140 target type of receiver. I think if he kind of plays like a Alshon Jeffrey role, like get him 110 targets, I think that will be great for George Pickens. And at wide receiver 29, 51 overall, he could be an absolute steal in your drafts. Probably top 20, I'd imagine, is an easy finish for him. Not that I have a whole lot of faith in the Cowboys, but I know that Dak is going to throw it enough to sustain CD and George Pickens. Tolbert and Mingo are going to kind of fight over the scraps here. And then Kevontae Turpin was wildly kind of valuable last year in some games. Like he was kind of a good dart throw if you're playing DFS and stuff. But he has been playing in the slot more during camp. So it's a name to keep an eye on. I'm not drafting him, but if you're in a super deep league, you could. Brings us to Jake Ferguson. He actually averaged more targets last year than he did in his 102 catch season. But through 14 games, through 9 games, he was tight end 14 with Dak last year. So I think your targets are CD, Pickens, and Ferguson. That's all I'm interested in for fantasy. I could see Jake Ferguson like yielding a little bit now that we have Pickens here, but at tight end 17, he's kind of a value too. So I just think that this defense is going to be kind of trashy like they were last year. I think they were top 10 in yards allowed. So we're going to see this team throw a lot and have to be competitive in games. The really shitty part about dissecting this offense are the running backs. So we got Rico Dowdle gone. They brought in Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders, and then they drafted Jaden Blue. Now, Javonte is going on, it's been at the day of this recording, it has been 995 days since he tore his ACL in 2002. He has not sniffed the 4.4 yards per carry he had as a rookie. Now, I know everyone was touting his recovery from the ACL as, world beating. He was rushing back to make it for the season. And to his credit that he did. But, they say 2 years is kind of when you start getting back in form. And he was not great for the Broncos last year. It's a fresh start. He's going at running back 38. So I do think that Javonte gets the first crack at this job. Miles Sanders comes over. He's the elder statesman. He's 28. He averaged 5 yards a carry before going to Carolina and absolutely falling off a cliff. So Miles Sanders could be in the running to start. We just really have to pay attention to camp and kind of see how this works out. But my guess would be Javonte Williams. If you are in a draft right now, here's what I'm doing. I like the value of Javonte Williams right now in drafts. As he gets the Barry bump or whoever decides to bump him up even more, he's probably going to be a little pricey for me. I'm just going to take the shot on Jayden Blue. He's going at running back 43, 135 overall. He is the same exact size as Bucky Irving, so I don't want to hear any of this, oh, he can't be a starter because he's small. We just saw Bucky do it. So I'm taking a shot on Jayden Blue and just saying he is the better back between Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams, at least to finish the season. If you want to take Javonte and Jayden, you can do that too. I can't justify taking Miles Sanders unless we hear at camp that he is absolutely going to take the job. They also have Phil Maffa there, who is probably going to take some short yardage stuff. That's kind of his specialty. And Javonte, Miles, Jayden Blue, probably not going to be the best there. So we probably will see him on the field. And then on top of that, it's very possible that they bring someone else in. There could be a cap casualty like Austin Eckler or Antonio Gibson, or they could trade for a guy like Etienne, who I imagine would be fairly cheap. So this running back core could be absolutely destroyed by the time we get to draft season. If you're drafting in July, like I said, I'd take a shot on Blue and probably avoid the rest of these guys. What do you guys think?
I actually, surprisingly enough, think Javonte can win and keep this job. I mean, it's hard, like you said, he's been long since from that 4.4 average or whatever, but it's really hard to average 4.4 yards when you're getting 8 carries a game or 6 carries a game. I mean, you go out there, get stuffed one time, and then they put in Jaleel McLaughlin, and he gets 1 carry for 6 yards. And they're like, well, he's doing better. So I think I'm really, and I'm not saying that Javonte is the guy because we don't know. We haven't seen it for 3 years at this point. I mean, really 2 years. I mean, he was fine in 2023. But at the end of the day, he has a chance to take this job, and he can get it if given the opportunity. I don't think Cowboys really haven't been a by committee situation before, so it'll be curious. I mean, they've had 2 guys. This is the year they have 3. So like you said, I think take a chance on Javonte and Blue. And like I said, like you said, do not fall for the Barry bump. If he goes up, do not take him. I'm not interested in that. That gives me even more reason to go draft Blue or Sanders and figure it out from there. But and he has been pretty decent in the pass catching in the last couple of years. So it'll be interesting to see.
Thing with Javonte, it's just the risk. I completely agree with you, but it's just the risk. So if he gets any higher, it's just like, we could get into August and hear, oh, he's the starter, he's the starter, he's the starter. And then that last 2 games, I do think Jayden Blue is going to be your third down back starting off. I think he's going to get that roll out of camp, and then it's going to get to the point where you just can't keep him off the field because he is absolutely electric. So that's kind of how I see it playing out. It might be a little bit optimistic on Jayden Blue, but it scares me to draft these guys early.
I'm letting them be somebody else's problem this year.
That's a good.
Just don't. I just don't. If you have them in Dynasty, I see that as like an interesting thing, like to go grab them. Like, well, maybe not Miles Sanders, but like Jayden Blue definitely, and then Javonte just in case. Like, I'm sure he's going a little bit cheaper than whatever your back end first round pick is. If you want to think that he's going to be a bigger guy than that this year, but. I might as well just let somebody else have him, and I'll just be like, oh, wow, I got beat by Javonte Williams. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what happens. That's what's happened. So that's fine.
Yeah. I don't hate that take at all. I mean, there's value here, though, on this team. I mean, outside of CD, who's a premium, I think everyone else is kind of a value for fantasy purposes.
I think Pickens is going to end up going way too high, though, unfortunately. Like at the end of all this, like I think where he's at right now is fine, but
He'll probably go higher come season, but I think he could have a bang up season. I don't know. And then on the defense, they brought in Dante Fowler from the Commanders. They also drafted Donovan Azraku. It's the best I can do on his name. Sorry, guys. They actually had a really good draft, but they got Azraku to run outside of Parsons with Fowler. Micah Parsons, that ankle injury really screwed him up last year. He played 13 games, still had 11 sacks. Kind of wild with the circumstance. So if he can get some help, especially when they brought in Solomon Thomas, they get Osa back, and then we should get a healthy season out of Sam Williams too. So they could have a pretty potent rotation. Mozzie Smith has not shown shit yet. He needs to get his shit together there. So maybe we see it. And then the big one is Demarion Overshown. He suffered the ACL. He probably will be back in October, November. Absolute stud. Horrible to see, but they brought in Kenneth Murray Jr. They brought in Jack Sanborn. It's an Eberflus defense, boys. I'm telling you, Jack Sanborn might be your starting linebacker going into week 1 for this team alongside Kenneth Murray. I think he's been shown out in camp too. So those are 2 guys to roster. Damone Clark hasn't shown anything. Martis Leifu kind of came on late last year, but I don't think he's going to be able to top Jack or Kenneth Murray. And then a fun note, Deron Bland is moving into the slot, so you're probably not going to see his ridiculous interception total. And we got Trevon Diggs, who we'll see. He had a cleanup surgery in January for the ACL he suffered in 2023. He should be back, but he has not sniffed that 11 interception season that Des Bryant somehow had the footballs for. He hasn't been there. And then good luck on Malik Hooker, Donovan Wilson. They're okay for a spot start, but it's not worth investing in.
I wonder why they let Eric Kendricks walk. Like, I mean, it was a 1-year deal, so I'm not saying they let him walk, but, like, why not bring him back again? Like, he had a really great season last year.
Yeah, this linebacking core without Overshown is not pretty.
I've gotten to the point where I just don't think Jerry wants to fucking pay anybody.
Yeah, well, I mean, he can't, unfortunately. They had to pay CD. He still hasn't paid Parsons, which they said they're working on a deal, and it's getting there many times now and hasn't.
And they overpaid Dak.
Well, yeah,
they overpaid him.
Like, is he still the top quarterback paid? I'm sure there's someone been paid since him, but at one point or another, he was the top quarterback paid, and he's been there for 8 years at this point.
Look at
Nothing to show for it.
I mean, they could have just re-signed Rico for what they paid Javonte and Miles Sanders. I think that would have been probably a smart move.
Honestly, though, I like the punt on running back at this point. If you're not going to go get a good one or a big one or use the draft capital, go draft the best one, why not take a chance on some veteran
But you
guys?
see how the NFL works right now with the best teams having, except for the Chiefs, having a minus running back or higher. Why would you decide now is the time we're not going to have a good running back? Like, this is literally where we are at right now.
I think Javonte is better than people think, honestly. He's not
Saquon Barkley. He's not Derrick Henry.
Not. But who are they going to go pay? They don't have any money.
Oh, I'm with you on Javonte, man. I've gotten to the point with Javonte where I got to see it. I got to see him be able to do what he did when he was a rookie. And until I see that, he's 25. He's, like I said, 1,000 days removed from this injury. So hopefully we can see that. But
the Cowboys always have running backs I like for some reason. I hate it. I mean, now Miles Sanders.
Well, they're going to run the ball a lot. So whoever gets this job or gets the majority of the split here is going to be worth a lot.
Yeah, all right, Dak is $60 million a year, by the way. He's the highest paid. There's
what's the over-under on this team?
6.5.
All right, we got the Eagles, the Giants, the Bears, the Packers, the Jets, the Panthers, the Commanders, the Broncos, the Cardinals, the Raiders, the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Lions, the Vikings, the Chargers, the Commanders, and the Giants.
Yeah, I think they're over. Easy. 6.
What was the number?
6.5.
6.5.
I'm under.
This is tough. I'll go over. I don't believe in this team, but 6.5 is too little.
I can't believe that their line is that low, being America's team and all. They'll be talking about it.
It'll probably get betted up once all the Dallas fans are like, "What in the hell? 6.5?" Like, I'm sure that's going to happen at some point, but. Yeah, for now, 6.5.
I hope they
think
don't, and I hope a
they
bunch
suck worse than that. I'm thinking about taking the under just to get some money on my in the books.
I kind of hope they do have a bad time.
This team isn't good. Isn't good at all. All right, Josh, you're next up.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and introduce your reigning champions, the Philadelphia Eagles. And what should you do with them in fantasy? We're going to get into some notable additions and losses later because that really didn't happen on the defense. The offense pretty much remained intact. We got outside of Mekhi Becton leaving a free agency and Kenny Pickett trade. Offense is the exact same. So the most interesting of all of these stars is that of Saquon Barkley. He is now facing the trifecta of curses. He has the 300 carry curse, where only a handful of running backs didn't face steep decline after getting 300 carries in the previous year. The Madden curse, which I'm pretty sure we're all pretty well versed in, and the running back one not repeating the following year, and that's 12 years running at this point since Jamal Charles in 2012 and 2013. So breaking that down, I think Saquon is facing slightly an uphill battle, which is ironic because last year he was, running back 12 or not, sorry, like the 12th person drafted, running back 7 or 8. The Madden curse has been broken, but not by a running back, at least to my knowledge. We have the Peyton Hillis, the Christian McCaffrey of most recent, Sean Alexander, who I don't think he ever really played decent again after that. So lots of running backs. Now, I'm a superstitious person. So when the Madden curse happened, I was very angry, and I'm still pretty angry about it. And then I learned of these other curses, and I'm not loving it. But it is Saquon Barkley. So do with that what you will. If you're a superstitious person, don't take him. If you think that he can do it, I think if anyone can break any of these curses, it's Saquon Barkley. Obviously, injury aside, going as number 2 to 4-ish overall, running back 1 or 2, depending on Bijan's placement in different ranking systems. He's worth it, man. He ran for 2,000 yards last year. We saw the reverse hurdle on 1,000 times, and we obviously have seen the giant 70-yard touchdowns, and those help a lot. So I'm taking him still at this point, and it's all because of those 60 to 70-yard touchdowns. Now, it's great to have a guy run for 100 yards and get 2 catches or 6 catches and, get a touchdown, but it's even better to get a 70-yard touchdown in one play. Even better if it's on the first play. And then wide receiver wise, AJ Brown in the 10 to 15 category, Devontae all the way down to like 57, wide receiver 9 and 27 respectively. Listen, dude, Devontae can be a wide receiver 1. If this team decides they have to throw the ball, which, as I said, the NFC East has one of the toughest divisions or the toughest schedules. So the Eagles are going to have to throw the ball at some point or another. Someone's going to be able to shut down Saquon, or if you believe in the curse, you have to draft these wide receivers. I mean, it is just amazing. Seeing AJ Brown going as the wide receiver 9 makes sense when you look at the guys above him. But at the end of the day, the sky's the limit for this guy. We know what he can do. We know what Devontae can do as well. I mean, obviously last year with the down year with Jalen Hurts, and I say down year, he was still QB 8. Only threw for 3,000 yards, 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, the lowest of his career since his rookie year, which, we don't really care about that. But the most important thing is here, the tush push still exists. Now, I don't think that affects Saquon's stats at all. I mean, Saquon's still going to get his. He's still going to break his. But that does bring Hurts to QB4 at 38. Now, I think the good thing here is, as we've talked about, Jalen Hurts is good. And a lot of people don't think Jalen Hurts is good. I'm going to take it one above. And Jalen Hurts is actually great. He plays great in clutch situations. He makes the right decisions. He's only getting better as the years go on. It's not like this is a one-hit wonder at this point. It's 4 years in a row of being one of the top 10 quarterbacks. And I think with that rushing upside, I mean, none of it's changed. It's 700 yards, 10, 13, 15, 14 touchdowns the last 4 years. Go get yourself Jalen Hurts, especially if that does take a little dip. You don't need to reach for Josh Allen. You don't need to reach high. You should be able to get Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts in the 4th, 5th round. Devontae in the 5th-ish round as well. And I think that is your bet. If you can combo 2, and I know AJ Brown Hurts is a little too close to be stacking. I love the Hurts Devontae stack this year. I think there's going to be a lot more throwing in this year than we think. Dotson's free, by the way. If you want to just throw him at the end of the bench just to see what happens, he's back on the team again this year. Yes, it was very hit or miss, and you're probably not getting much out of him to start. But if there is an injury, Dotson will be thrust into the action. And Goddard, actually a great tight end to have on your team, especially if you are rostering 2. Tight end 14 being drafted this year. And as he was playing, I mean, yeah, he missed a lot of games. As he was playing, he's averaging like 13 points a game, something like that, when he played last year. So could be worse to have, and love a good bye week fill in for him. I'm going to just get through the defense real quick. This is where all the significant losses are. Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, Brandon Graham, Bryce Huff for the defensive line, Darius Slade, James Badberry, Isaiah Rogers, CJ Maddox in the secondary, and honestly, the list goes on. But they did a pretty decent job of replacing what they could, at least in the draft and free agency. Obviously, cap space is tight with this Super Bowl winning roster and holding on to everyone for the next 3 years. The White Rhino, Ty Robinson, fills that hole for Milton Williams. I love this guy's nickname. It's amazing. And a combination of Ojulari and Uche take over the edge along with Nolan Smith. And of course, obviously Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter are still there. And then we also still have Jalix Hunt, who is kind of an untapped project. We're actually had a pretty good year last year. Linebackers, of course, they went and got Jihad Campbell in the draft, and that is just phenomenal. Don't really know how this fits in at the moment. Obviously, we know Dean won't be back immediately. He could be back for week 1, though, at the end of the day. Probably more likely week 4, week 5. Zach Bond, obviously. I kind of hate this for the linebackers because Jihad Campbell could come in and sweep up what Zach Bond just did. But Zach Bond, obviously, you got to draft these guys. And then the biggest hole, honestly, in the Eagles is the safety. Currently, it's Reed Blankenship, obviously, and then, Cooper DeJean, Quinton Mitchell. Looks like Keely Ringo is going to be taking over the other corner, Adoree Jackson, but that last free safety, strong safety spot is open. Looks like it could be Sidney Brown, which is also Chase Brown's brother. Just a little throw there. Andrew Makuba, the rookie they drafted in the second round, did not sign his rookie deal. He's wanting everything guaranteed, apparently. Don't know what that's about. Might be good, might be bad. At the end of the day, he's probably going to end up signing. So be interesting to see. And then Tristan McCollum's another safety to watch too, if that situation does go bad. Pretty good, pretty decent bench stash at the very least. So what do you guys think about this Super Bowl winning Philadelphia Eagles team?
Jesus Christ. That was a very comprehensive every single player on the roster.
Well, I know the team inside and out. I thought I was quick, though.
That's fair. It did seem quick. I've heard, obviously these are the rumblings always, but I've heard that Cooper DeJean might be used a little bit at safety. Are you hearing any of that, or is that just another one of these things?
I actually haven't heard anything about that, and I hear a lot about Eagles, but he was drafted originally to be that safety nickel situation, so I could see it. I mean, especially if need be, and him and Blankenship are like homies, so like them two as the free safety and strong safety would be great. The corner situation.
Here's the report I said. I read was that Fangio said that Cooper DeJean may play more at safety and less at cornerback in 2025. He has all of the tools, and he might be getting more snaps at safety this season. Obviously, it's June, so I mean, who knows? But that was the thing I read, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I hate that we lost Maddox, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't really care about Maddox, but Isaiah Rogers would have been a great outside corner because he filled in a lot when Slay went down every game, it seemed like. So that whole secondary is really curious. That's the biggest problem with the Eagles, in my opinion. I mean, can Adoree Jackson be what he has been? Are people ready to step up and be that guy? I think Keely Ringo can be. He played pretty decent last year in his limited usage, but that's the biggest. If that's the worst part of the Eagles, I'm okay with it. I mean, yeah, we might let up some good big passing games to players, but I think Quinyon still locks down the number 1, and then whether Cooper needs to play the nickel or not, he's got the option.
True.
Okay, so Azeez Ojulari, he's an absolute POS against the run. That was what kept him off of the field with the Giants a lot. If Azeez Ojulari gets his run defense covered up by Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter,
I was just about to say,
could we see a colossal season from Ojulari?
I have high hopes for Ojulari, honestly. When we signed Uche, I was like, can you go get someone real, please? And I actually looked and I saw Ojulari's name and I was like, go get him. Like, I know he hasn't had the most storied career, but I think he has something. And this is a defense that rotates in defensive edge rushers. So it's like, yeah, he could get burnt on a play and then they could get him out the next play. And so
that's my only question. Is it just going to be an annoying rotation, or can we see Ojulari get to 10 sacks?
I would say your number 1 is going to be Nolan Smith. I think that he takes a big step. We saw it in the playoffs, and I think we were seeing it in the season at least, just kind of mixed in. Jalix Hunt also has a chance to be in there, but Ojulari is the next guy that I have. I mean, Uche could be the guy very well as well. This could be the next Zach Bond situation where nobody expects it. Yeah, it's going to be weird, especially to start the year. I can't say who it is, but I would love to grab a piece of it because the middle's locked up. I think when Ojulari's out there, he's going to be sitting next to Jordan Davis because that is our run stopping guy. Yeah. Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith on the other side or whoever it is.
He's like I'm taking a shot on him everywhere guy. I love that signing.
Yeah, same. Offensive wise, you guys worried about the curses, the trifecta curse?
I'm really not. Like last year, I feel like we laid out, at least me and Joe did, our like thoughts about how this offense seems to be built with like 5 guys, and then that's it. And if I didn't just watch it completely work last season, I'd be a little more concerned. But as long as nobody gets injured, I mean, I don't know why they don't just keep the train rolling.
Yeah, and speaking of, I guess I never did touch on backup running backs. We still got Will Shipley, who had pretty valuable, trash time yardage in the last year.
Scored a Super Bowl touchdown.
Did score a Super Bowl touchdown. And A.J. Dillon now on the team, which I do love because that's literally mini Barkley at this point. So if you do believe in the superstitions, maybe stash A.J. Dillon. Should be free or at the end of drafts. But yeah, I'm a little worried. The Madden curse gets me more because the running back situation's never been great on the Madden curse. But I didn't even realize that the running back one hasn't repeated since Jamal Charles, and that was 2012. And then the other situation where if they get 300 carries, they just fall off a cliff. Which that one's not as specific. Like there's one where it was like I can't remember if it was like Deuce McAllister. That's not it. But someone back in like 2002. Went from like running back 2 to running back 8, and it was like, okay, well, that's fine. I think it was Rashard.
I mean, if he finishes running back 4, nobody's going to be like, oh man, that was a bust of a season.
No, yeah. It's really just about can he stay healthy? Are these curses going to literally curse him?
But then again, this Eagles team is built on like, if everyone's healthy, we're cooking. If somebody gets hurt, we're not cooking. Like,
yeah, the big 4 to start, but yeah, at the end of the day, hopefully nobody.
I think A.J. Brown's like my favorite mid to late second round pick. Like if you could start your team with Malik Neighbors, A.J. Brown, or Gibbs, A.J. Brown, or oh man,
dude, A.J. Brown's ceiling is wide receiver 2.
Yeah,
like maybe even wide receiver 1 at that point. Like if this team is forced to throw, like let's say there was a Saquon injury, or if they're just in really competitive games and at the end of the wire, or they're down at games, like A.J. and Devontae are going to feast. That's why I like Devontae's value better, just because. But like AJ in the second round is perfect too.
Yeah.
I'd say
Hopefully, I hope they throw more this year.
I think they will. I think they're gonna have to. I think
with the defense, they're probably gonna have to. But
yeah, I don't think the defense holds what it did last year. We're not gonna be the number 1 defense this year, but it will still be decent. I think there will be big plays and turnovers as well. So
I don't know. Anyway, Vegas is predicting 11.5. As the over-under.
Cowboys, Chiefs, Rams, Buccaneers, Broncos, Giants, Vikings, Giants, Packers, Lions, Cowboys, Bears, Chargers, Raiders, Commanders, Bills, Commanders. Over.
Dude, that first 4 games, that's like gauntlet. Jesus.
Yeah, dude, I wish we could have got the Rams at the end of the season where they are either not going to be doing something or old, and tired. Right. I'm going to go with under because that's just what I do.
Okay, Josh. I'm going over. I think 12-6 feels right. Or is it 12? How many games are in the 12-5, right? 17 weeks?
12
18.
No, there's 17 games, though.
Right. Yeah, I think 12-5 seems realistic. Okay. We'll get on to the last team, which we collectively talk about, and that is the Washington Commanders. I talk about Jayden Daniels. Won me a couple of championships last year. I rode that dude into the sun. He's going as pick 30 right now, QB3. Don't think I'm going to be having a lot of Jayden Daniels on my team this year. I just don't believe in drafting quarterbacks in the middle of the 3rd round. But peace and love to everyone out there that gets him. You're getting a hell of a guy. Hard to say that he's going to be able to recreate the magic that he had last season. I feel like a lot of people forget how magical some of the
Lucky.
moments. I mean, Joe obviously can't forget because of what happened to his team, but like overall, in general, like there was a lot of just like what in the hell just happened moments with him last season, and it's hard to quantify that into fantasy points because like you love when it hits, but like you obviously hate when it doesn't. And after he got that rib injury, he was definitely a little bit different. So we'll see how that he's a little bit different or more cognizant of those hits this season. I just can't, for the life of me, recommend drafting a quarterback in the middle of the third round. I just can't. I mean, maybe if it was Josh Allen, I maybe could be like that just because he's proven it. But with Jayden Daniels, it's hard not to say that like this year he won't get hit in the ribs just a tad bit worse than he did last year, and he gets hurt just a little bit worse. So I think we all saw the magic, and we had a hell of a time. And I kind of just that's where we're at. If you get him, peace and love. If you don't, I don't think you're going to be hating yourself for not taking him.
I know Billy won't say it. I'm worried about Jayden Daniels.
Okay.
I don't.
I won't say it because I love the kid, but yeah,
I do too.
Right.
I do too. I mean, he was so little. It was like I was worried about him getting injured the entire season. Obviously, having him on a team was great. And I was like, this is amazing. And all of a sudden, there's a fourth quarter touchdown to Terry McLaurin, who you also have on your team. You're like, well, this is just great. I love all this. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't think 16 rushes is happening anymore. I think the rushing, at least attempts, go down. I don't know if the yardage does. And the pass yards, like, dude, 3 of those were dream passes, dude, for 60 yards. So that's literally 300 or 200 yards right there that might just be subtracted. I'm worried about this. Let's just say it, like overall, like this, like you said, it was a fun ride, but I think there's a step back here. I think this is the next CJ Stroud situation where it's like had an amazing rookie year, gonna take a little bit of a dip. Still gonna be fine, but like drafting at QB3, like let's get out of here. I'm gonna take Jalen Hurts' 15 rushing touchdowns. Take those to the bank.
Yeah, Jayden Daniels, man, can he get 850 rushing yards again and hold up?
I'd love to see it.
I would love to see it too, but no, I agree with you. I think Lamar and Josh Allen are the only high quarterbacks, and then Hurts obviously a couple rounds later. But yeah, no Jayden Daniels for me.
So it's a rough world, but it's just the world we live in.
So let's just keep bringing on the negativity and let's talk about the running backs. Yeah, I hate them. They did absolutely nothing for this running back room. We still got Mr. Brian Robinson, who stole Antonio Gibson's job to go get under 800 yards in 3 straight seasons. That's super great. Remember that one year when he was the passing down guy before they went and got Eckler? 36 catches for 300 yards. Yeah, that went away. This guy has just gotten worse and worse throughout his career. I don't understand why we're still doing this. Austin Eckler, who's still there, ended up literally throwing away the game. I mean, to be fair, the game was probably lost in general. In the playoffs and the NFC Championship, he was actually fine for what he was, a role player. I mean, he was out there getting 12-ish points a game, which was super great for a guy you're getting super late. Still kind of like the Austin Eckler that you can get for free. They did get them this McCroskey Marriott guy. It's like the 7th round though. So like, listen, like we can't temper expectations there. I think he's worth rostering just because of this running backs that are in front of him. I mean, easily could vault over Eckler or just take Eckler's job straight up before the game even starts. But then you still got like, what was it, Chris Rodriguez hanging around, Jeremy McNichols. It's like a 5-man running back room, and I just hate it. I'm going to avoid all of these, honestly. Just make that someone else's problem. Someone's going to grab Brian Robinson like the 6th round, and you're just going to laugh at them. You're like, you realize that wasn't Bijan, right? Too low-hanging fruit.
The thing I hate is that literally every team in this division watched the Eagles win on the back of Saquon Barkley, and they're like, you know what we're going to do? Make all fucking committees for the whole rest of our rosters. Literally, like Cowboys, hard-ass mess. Washington, a 5-man mess. And then Giants are
Giants
like, okay,
credit.
You trust Tracy, right? We're going to add Scatterboo into the mix. Hell yeah, with Singletary potentially.
At least that's a lightning and thunder. At least it's a lightning and thunder. Like you got the speed and you got the bang.
Having one guy versus having a plethora of guys, I just they're living in 3 years ago in NFL. Like, time to wake up. We're in this day and age now.
I love how fast it changed for the running backs to be relevant.
Dude, we predicted
offseason.
this like 3 years ago. I swear on this podcast, we talked about the running backs are going to come back with a vengeance at some point. We didn't know when, but we knew they were coming back at some point. And they're here. We're here.
They're back.
Now it's a running back league again.
I got to ask you guys a question, and I know it's not relevant to this team, but honestly, who cares? We're talking about Brian Robinson at this point. Would you rather have Bijan or Saquon this year? And is it close?
I think Saquon.
To me, it is close. It is close. I'd take Saquon, though.
Oh, okay. I've seen a lot of Bijan talk, and I know it's probably curse related, honestly, but I'm just like, I think I'd take Saquon.
It's close.
You know nobody's taking Saquon's job unless he's in
or touches.
Or touches.
That's another important part.
We talked about this a couple weeks ago, but why does everyone just assume that after 3 games of Michael Penix that the Falcons offense is just going to be rolling?
No idea.
Don't know.
I don't get it. I mean, Bijan's going to be awesome. You should totally draft him in the first round. He's a great pick, but like, take Saquon.
Like number 2 and 3.
I like Penix. I just don't. I don't know what it's going to be yet. I mean,
don't like
the same as JJ McCarthy. Honestly, same difference almost.
I mean, last year we saw Kirk Cousins have 500 yards and 5 touchdowns, and then 3 weeks later he was benched for Penix. Like,
yeah, that Bucks game that they decided after watching, they were like, you know what, we need to get another receiver. That's the only way we're going to beat Atlanta and Kirk Cousins 500 yards. Another receiver, baby.
Crazy. These wide receivers are values.
Talking about Washington?
I mean, McLaurin just finished as wide receiver 7, and he's sitting here going at wide receiver 19, 32 overall.
I think it's an age thing. I think that's why
I know, but that's just cash money, dude. I mean, if you believe Jayden Daniels is going to stay healthy all year, which obviously we don't bet on injuries, but Terry McLaurin is an absolute value. And then they go and trade for Debo, who definitely an age concern, but he's led the NFL in yards after the catch every time he plays, basically. So it's kind of exactly what this offense needs. So
you're right, though.
I'll take Debo, wide receiver 40. It's crazy.
It's kind of wild that everyone believes in Jayden Daniels but doesn't believe in McLaurin. Like his numbers make sense, and they're gonna go up, right? Because he was QB 5 last year, 6, 5, QB 5 last year, and now he's QB 3. Terry McLaurin was wide receiver 7 last year, and now he's wide receiver 19. Like where does that variance go in? Like why can't he be a 12 at least?
Bro, we were pounding the table all last year saying Terry McLaurin finally has the quarterback he needs to be a top 10 wide receiver. And he got that quarterback, and he had a top 10 year. Mind blown.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was all because of the touchdowns. It was all because of the touchdowns, too.
Yeah. I don't know. Crazy. So get Terry. Debo's a hell of a value. They're going to use him. And then, I mean, the tight ends, Zach Ertz, tight end 22 is kind of, I get it. He's ancient. He's cobwebby, but 172 overall. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I was going to say QBs, they're tight end 7 last year, too. Like, go get Zach Ertz because he's going to play the first at least 5 games, and he's going to go out there and play like a top 10 tight end like he has in his entire career. And then if he gets injured, pick up Sinnott or roster Sinnott as your backup. Like, dude, Zach Ertz is the buy low tight end right now all the time.
Yeah. I love Ertz, man. And then Sinnott, like I said, like you said, it's free. And in Dynasty, he's being valued as free, even though he was everyone's darling last year. So go float some trades, some 3rd-round picks, 4th-round picks for Sinnott and see what you can get.
True.
What have you done for me lately?
Yeah, crazy. No kidding. All right, on to the defensive side of things. They did add some pieces to this defense over the offseason. Yeah, that's also true. Old Faithful, Frankie Louvu. I loved the resurgence. We have always been a pro Louvu podcast ever since his Carolina days, so it was kind of good to see that. Marshawn Lattimore didn't really do what we thought he was going to, what they paid for him to do for this team, so that was kind of disappointing. Bobby Wagner, I cannot believe he's still playing in the NFL. Like
it's playing good though.
No. I did not mean that as a bad thing to him, but it's just shocking that Bobby Wagner, who was like the linebacker 1 in like 2014 when we started playing IDP, is still at it all these years
later. He's
later.
Still on Danny's team to this day.
Yeah, I mean he's been keeping him every season so far, so that's interesting. And then I personally have always liked Javon Kinlaw. I hope that he has a good role in this team. But I don't know. Is there guys on this team that you all feel better about?
I mean, they brought Will Harris over from the Saints, and he should be their box safety. It's worth taking. It's a complete science project, and we have no idea what's going to happen with this, but he is free. So take him late as your safety defensive back 5 and see what happens.
I like Sanders still too. I don't usually like corners, but as the nickel corner, he was getting a lot of work and he was making some big plays out of it.
That's true. And then this isn't normally something we bring up on the podcast, but the punter's name is Tress Way and the kicker's name is Matt Gay. It's like the Way Gay or Gay Way.
It's the Gay Way, man.
We don't normally have rhyming names as the punter kicker, but they went out and did it, and
they gotta be having some jokes and stuff, man.
There has to be something there because that is something to walk at there.
When they line up for the anthem, is it Way Gay or Gay Way? How do they line up?
Depends on what month it is, I guess. All right, on to the over/under for this team is 9.5.
Wow.
9.5. They have the Giants, the Packers, the Raiders, the Falcons, the Chargers, the Bears, the Cowboys, the Chiefs, the Seahawks, the Lions, the Dolphins, the Broncos, the Vikings, the Giants, the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the Eagles.
Why does theirs sound so much easier than all the other NFC East teams? Like, all those other ones had like way worse schedules. I feel like that was the easiest of the 4.
How'd the Giants get screwed like that, and then they get kind of a cakewalk to start the season?
I think the Commanders are fun. They want them to get in the playoffs. Which was
like 10-7 feels right for me, so I'm going over.
Yeah, I'll go over as well.
I'm going under. I don't like it.
I mean, I agree with the thought process there because like some of their games were just won by sheer madness, it felt like. So I mean, I can understand that. It appears that we're gonna have Philly winning this division again. Don't think there's any surprise there. At the end, I'd just like to bring up some props for some of the wide receivers. So let's just see quick over-unders real quick. AJ Brown, 1,110.5.
If Jalen throws more, yeah.
I mean, no, the thing is that's as long as AJ stays healthy because he had 1079 with 13 games. So like one more game, he's got that. I think AJ Brown's minimum. I mean, I think he goes even with like the way they threw last year. AJ Brown would have had his exact same stats from last year. They didn't change. The dip was there wasn't a third. Like Goddard was only there half the season. Devontae had around what he usually gets. He had a little bit of a dip as well. So yeah, I think it's over.
Okay. I feel like over is best case, hopefully, for them. Lamb is 1,200.5.
Over.
I think that's easy over.
I feel like
who else is going to catch it? Pickens? Hell no. Neighbors is 1,150.5.
Over.
I'm going to go under.
I love this out of you, Joe. I'm going over as well. I think that just with the sheer amount of targets. And then McLaurin is 1,000.5.
I mean, he's hit 1,000. I hate the 0.5. I wish they would just made it a clean 1,000. But he's hit over 1,000 literally, 6 years
that's
in a row?
If he's 1,001, he hits the bet. If he's 999, he don't hit the bet.
He did hit 1,002 2 years ago. But yeah, he's literally 1,005 straight years. I mean, you got to say it. And he would have been over 1,000 his rookie year, too, if he wasn't injured a few games. I have a fun little game.
Over.
Before we're done with that. Sorry, yeah, Bill. Okay.
Yeah, we're done.
Okay, all right. Who's older, Bobby Wagner or Levante David?
Levante David.
Shit. Probably Levante David. Levante.
They were drafted the same year, though. But Levante David is 35, born January 23rd of 1990, and Bobby Wagner is 34, June 27th of 1990. So like 6 months.
Huh.
Interesting. Wouldn't have even really. I was just looking at the active tackle list because I was like, Bobby Wagner's got to be up there. He's only the 10th highest tackle now, and Levante David's number 5. But there's like nothing in between. It's like So Bobby Wagner's at 1071, and then the fourth is 1135. So like he's like 60 away from being there, and then Levante David's at 1111. Make a wish.
So they'll be both top 5 by the end.
Oh yeah, 100%. And it's Ray Lewis at 1500 for number 1, of course. So 400 above. I don't think they're going to get there. There's a chance though if they keep playing.
It is true. Okay, well that's the NFC East. I think we have the Eagles winning this one. I clearly forgot to bring out who we have winning the NFC in total. But I think if I can look over my notes real quick.
Well, Joe had the Bears winning the NFC North, but we had the Lions. You couldn't get him to say it on air.
I had the Lions winning the North. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you didn't say that for like 20 minutes, though. We were literally dead airing for 20 minutes waiting for you.
It's the Eagles. Just looking over, we have the Eagles winning this. I think the Rams, Lions.
As the division winners?
Yeah.
And who was the
Bucks?
Bucks. Oh, yeah, right. That's such an ugly division.
Yeah. So I think that's who we have. And then wild cards, it might be the Panthers, weirdly enough. Chicago and Washington.
Interesting.
I don't think the 49ers. It might be the 49ers. 49ers or Carolina, one of those two. I can't remember.
No, they will not. It's Carolina.
Yeah. Okay, that's all we got for this week. Next week, the AFC begins. Joe, get us out of here.
Good night.